What is going on, guys? Joey Nubsy here with a definitely a delayed YouTube video. It's taken me quite some time to kind of plan this one out, know exactly what I wanted to talk about, and also, essentially reach the goal that I wanted to hit before I actually put this video out there and felt confident and comfortable putting out, any information or advice in general. So, for those of you guys that didn't watch my initial video, I'm going to leave the description down below. And for those of you that are kind of just new to the whole thing with me in general, you don't really know me, whatever the case may be. About 18 months ago to 20 months ago, somewhere around that almost like 2 yearish range, I was clocking in at right around 300 pounds. I think the last time I stepped on a scale at that time, I was about 296. And the last time I kind of checked in with everyone here and uploaded a video about my weight loss journey, I was at about 200 pounds, about 195 to 200, somewhere in that range. And just this past week and a half ago, maybe, I actually reached my sort of penultimate goal where I started out when I first started losing weight and I wanted to hit, which was about 180 pounds. And right now I'm about 175 to about like 178, depending on when I step on the scale, really. I'm about 5'8", so 175 to 180 being 5'8" is pretty good. I'm pretty happy with the way that I look, especially compared to past versions of myself, I'll say. So overall, I feel really good, and I kind of wanted to do a follow-up where you guys kind of really took in the information and any advice that I may have had in the first video, and I think I want to use this one as more of a Q&A with just a few questions that I was asked. I tweeted out on a couple occasions asking for basically any and all questions to come in, and I'm here to answer those today. So kind of kicking straight off the bat, there's a couple that I wanted to touch base into that are probably going to be a bit more convoluted, and I'll probably get into it in a bit more detail. The very first one that I wanted to address is a really good question here. Did I stay in a deficit the whole time, and did I have cheat meals? So kind of jumping straight away into this question, having cheat meals was an absolutely massive thing for me to be able to stay consistent in my weight loss. I still have them. My diet right now is probably the worst it's been over the past like 12, maybe like 12 months, 10 to 12 months. It's probably the worst it's been, but to be fair, it's because I feel like my metabolism has improved a lot, and I feel like in general I can just eat a lot more, not really gain that weight, kind of stay at an even ground. But going into it, the cheat meals were huge for me, because I would be eating relatively well the entire week, some lean protein, rice. I talked a bit about the diet in the last video as well, and I'd be getting some good cardio in. But something that would keep me motivated is, knowing that one day, some weeks, even 2 days a week, I'd be having kind of just meals that I was used to back when I was overeating a lot, eating very unhealthy. My preferred one is Mexican food. I really like queso, so it was always important for me to kind of go back and have that maybe once a week, something like that. And it just made a lot of the hard work feel like it was really worth it during some of the tougher times. You go to the gym and you do cardio for an hour, and you're doing any lifting, any exercise like that, and you kind of sometimes take a step back and say like, wow, that was really difficult, and I wish there was something a bit more rewarding out of it, other than the sort of long-term results that you're not going to immediately see. And some of that rewarding thing sometimes was a good meal. I'm a person that likes dessert a lot too. I really like ice cream and cookies and things like that. So it was important that I kept a healthy diet so I could have those days where I did just kind of go ballistic. Next question that I really like here is smaller victories along the way. How'd you change mentalities, and what was the catalyst for change? So to kind of start off with the original point of what the catalyst for change was for me when I first began, was just being uncomfortable with the way that I looked, the way that I felt, fitting into clothes. I was a 2X, definitely pushing a 3X. One of the jerseys that I have over here back in 2019, I was a 3X in the jersey, and it was still relatively tight on me. So that was kind of the thing that initially sparked me wanting to change, was just looking better and feeling better when I would just walk around every day. And catalyst during the process and the journey itself that would kind of motivate the continuance of change would be just the miniature goals, sort of hitting a certain weight, or doing X amount of cardio during a 1 week period to really be able to have a measurable unit of how much exercise you're really putting in. It's all about setting little goals for yourself, and once you start tackling those little goals, they're all going to add up. I would usually do like 5 to 10 pound goals at a time, just so it felt like it was much of a smaller sort of burden to, or a smaller load to handle. And then eventually you notice that it just kind of falls off. It's been a year since my last video, almost a year since my last video, and I didn't plan on losing that much more weight, but through decent exercise and decent eating, not great eating, I've lost another 20 pounds. So it's, it's pretty good. And I've also, I'm at the point right now in my weight loss as well. So something that's been important is, like I've mentioned, I'm at about 175 right now, and I feel pretty comfortable with that weight. So people ask, what's the next step for you? And something that's kind of sparked my change in mentality as well is now I want to get stronger. I figure I got some pretty broad shoulders, so I might as well kind of put that to use and start, building up some muscle. So maybe I can be 5'8" and just look like a big bicep or something. So we'll see what happens. But I hope that answers a little bit about changing in mentalities. I think just setting goals for yourself and not getting discouraged either when you don't reach those goals in your set amount of time or whatever it may be. Kind of going based off that, a long question from my good friend Jax here. He talks in this question about, keeping a solid mental state, mindset, convincing yourself to go to the gym every day, realizing that the change in weight loss can be a scary process in itself. And I think that's really, really important. And to kind of start and, not go too in depth to the point where the video is an hour long, because I could talk about this for hours. But to kind of start in a more plain, basic sense, I think it's important to realize that no one's journey, especially through weight loss, is going to be the same, and that no one is going to have the exact motives that you have, the exact goals that you have, and that your mindset, your mentality, and your worriedness to change is always going to be there until maybe one day when you reach your goal it goes away, but until then, you're probably going to have quite a bit of dips in mindset. Mental state can be rough some days. So I think it's important to have sort of the realistic conversation as well about those goals and how to maintain them, and how to also maintain your mental health as well. And to kind of roller coaster off of what I said prior about setting goals, the smaller ones, I think that's a really good way to keep your mindset solid, not putting too much pressure on yourself, not being too overbearing on yourself either when it comes to those goals itself. How much weight do I need to lose in this week? How much weight do I want to lose this month? Like, you need to take that out of your mindset, unless it works for you and that extra pressure is what motivates you. I think it's not a bad thing to sort of take that out of your mindset in general and do it more of a freestyle way of losing weight, which is kind of how I did it. Didn't really have a set plan of how long I wanted it to take. I just knew that I wanted to change. As for being scared about change, because change is scary, and even when it's within yourself, it's scary, because one day you wake up, you're 300 pounds, it's everyday life, you've been living it for many years like I was, and then it feels like you blink and you're smaller. Your clothes that you wore at 240 pounds like I am right now are too big, and they're kind of hanging off, and you need to go to the store and buy new ones. And even the change like that, it's exciting, and people are always going to be happy for you, and you should always be happy for yourself as well. But it's those changes that can be scary, and it can cause anxiety, and you can definitely not look at yourself the same way that other people look at you. It's definitely a possibility. I do it all the time. I still feel like I'm kind of big, and I know that that's really not the case, but it's just kind of how I feel. So might touch base on a couple more of that points of the question within a couple of these other ones. Another good question here. Did you see any weight gain or water weight in the beginning stages? Currently going through that and feel really defeated. So this was a while ago that I had originally tweeted this. It was a bit over a month ago. So if this person is still feeling that, I hope you've been able to resolve it a little bit. But if not, don't feel, first off, I want to say, and this is the most hypocritical thing I will ever say, okay? Try not in the beginning and the middle stages be so concerned with that number on the scale. I know the number is everything, right? Because that's why you start. Sure, it can be about how you feel, but usually it's correlated to that number. And that number is something that I still look at a lot, and it's not good. Give yourself that space. Give yourself the time for that number to change, and then eventually when it does, and you're not stressing about it every day, you're gonna feel amazing because you're not even gonna notice where the weight went. You know, you're kind of just gonna blink and you're gonna say, oh my gosh, I'm down, you know, 80, 90 pounds, and I wasn't checking every day, so I feel much better about it. I check my weight every single day. I don't recommend it. It's just useless. Once a week, maybe, sure. Once a week is fine, but every day, it's not for me. Maybe for you. It might help motivate you. It might, you know, give you sort of that security, and that's fine. But for me personally, it just wasn't like that. As for the water weight, I can speak much to that. When I first started losing weight, I didn't really notice because I wasn't stepping on the scale when I first started, because I was just doing it like incidentally. I was vacationing, I was traveling quite a bit, and I wasn't eating too terrible. And then by the time I noticed that I was losing weight, I think whatever the water weight may have been was already gone. So not really quite sure about that, but your weight's always going to fluctuate too. I always preface anything when I tell people my weight. I always give like a space, so, or a range rather. So like I said in the beginning of this video, right now I weigh between like 174ish, 175 to like 178, because I can step on the scale at any moment. It's going to be between those two. I don't know where it's going to be at, but it's going to be there, you know. What was the hardest and easiest part of losing weight? So this is an interesting question, because for me, it's the same answer, but just different dimensions of the same answer, and that was exercise. And I'll kind of dissect that and explain my point of view a little bit. So for me, the hardest part of losing weight was the exercise. I don't eat too much different now compared to how I used to eat when I was very, very overweight. There are some big differences, such as not eating at night, or super late into the night, and also not eating like as much fried food. Portion size, I've changed up a little bit. But as for like overall food, I feel like I haven't really changed too much compared to what I ate before. I'm a very plain eater. I'm very picky, so not a ton change with that. But when it came to the exercise, it was very difficult for me to find the motivation to either go to the gym or take walks outside or do anything like that. And that was very difficult for me for a while, until I eventually got into the groove where I actually found it kind of fun. And then in the same realm, the easiest part of the whole thing was the exercise, because I felt like the exercise was the only measurable way I could tell that I was succeeding in my goal. I felt good after I would exercise, definitely not during it, especially in the early to middle stages, but it was the easiest thing to kind of hold myself accountable for. And like I said, when I got into the rhythm too, exercise got very easy. I still take walks every day. I walk 3 to 4 miles every single day. That's kind of the only exercise I do right now, other than lifting my dumbbells, because I don't have a gym near me. So I've been kind of winging it with that. But that's kind of the easiest and hardest part for me. And then, but for a lot of people, it's going to be super different. Your diet's going to be the most difficult part. Diet might be the easiest part. It's all personal. So, and the last like kind of big, longer question that I have here is from Hacks saying, I know diet's a big thing, but there's usually a schedule or workout routine combined with it. Did you find it hard to continue at it day after day, month after month? And what did you do on the days where you just did not want to continue or wanted to eat outside of the diet? Okay. On days where I wanted to eat outside of the diet and I wanted to kind of just take, you know, stress eating is a huge thing for me. When I'm stressed in any capacity, I eat quite a bit. It's just easy. Food's laying around. I feel bored. I feel stressed in any way. I just want to eat some food, especially like dessert. So this is going to sound a little ridiculous, and I feel like a lot of people aren't going to tell you this, but this is just from my perspective. On days where you feel like you can't do it, and days where you feel like you want to kind of break outside of that diet or that routine, a lot of the time, just do it. Don't punish yourself. Losing weight is not a punishment, and it's not something you do because, you know, I mean, it can be something to do when you're like fed up with yourself and you don't feel good about yourself anymore, which is kind of how mine was, but it's not a punishment. It's not a sentence, you know. You can have those days where you kind of go off track a little bit and you maybe eat bad or you miss the gym for a day, but it's important to hold yourself accountable and realize that you are taking those days. Don't make excuses. Don't chalk it up to, oh, I was on the move, so I had to get McDonald's that day. Hold yourself accountable to a standard of, even if there was a reasonable excuse, understand that there could have been a better option. And if you hold yourself accountable and you understand the options that, you could have had instead of maybe the more unhealthy one, then on future days where you don't feel like doing it, you very well could say, okay, I don't feel like dieting anymore today, or I don't feel like going to the gym today. And you'll remember back and you'll say, well, the last time I felt like this, I maybe went out and I ate some Chinese food or some Italian food, and I woke up and didn't feel that good about myself. So maybe this is an opportunity to kind of have more of a replacement effect on that, and maybe stay on a more healthy track. And in the end, you'll feel better because of it. So that's kind of a convoluted answer, but that's kind of my advice on that. That really wrapped up all of the big, like, harder hitting questions. And I didn't want to make this video too long because I felt like there was going to be some rambling. I'm pretty sure in the way beginning I rambled quite a bit about just nonsense. But I appreciate everyone who did ask questions. I appreciate everyone who comes into my stream. If you guys don't know, I'm a full-time content creator. You can catch me at twitch.tv/JoeyNubsy mostly every day. If you guys ever have any questions, you can also tweet at me, DM me on Twitter. I check those quite a bit. That's all my socials are Joey Nubsy. But more importantly, for everyone that is watching this because you're motivated to take the step in a new direction and one that you think is going to make you feel better, just do it safely. Don't be afraid to take guidance from people. I learned from many people down the way. Along the way, I learned from many people that I thought I'd never trust with their opinions. Yeah, you guys can do it for sure. Because trust me, if I could do it, then you absolutely could. So I appreciate you guys all watching. Again, any questions, put in the comments. Let me know on any social media, and I will try to get back to you. So thank you guys throughout this entire journey, and maybe when I'm absolutely shredded, we'll make another video, huh? But I appreciate you guys, and I will catch you later.